mambo yetu. So we want to build it up from the bottom, and that is why I started by saying we will have a sit down with the people of this region, with the leaders of this region. And if you come tomorrow to our meeting in Wild Waters, you will witness what I am saying, that we are going to have a discussion about the economy of this region and about the priorities of this region and what will go into the charter. And we are going to agree tomorrow how whatever framework we agree on will be cascaded to every ward, so that people can make their representations, people can improve, they can change, they can enrich, so that we end up with a blueprint that can reflect the wishes of the people of this region.
Okay, now that you spoke about the port, I had a question. What are your views on, local businesses dying right now because of the counterfeit stations? The CFS is now, goods are being channeled via SGR, and they're going all the way to Naivasha, and then businesses now in Mombasa, because most of the CFSs are located in this region, now suffering because of that.
Yes.
What would you do to make those businesses at least survive, or get back to the state in which they were in before?
Yeah, na pia labda ningeuliza, ukiendapo utakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, labda bandari ambayo ilipelekwa Naivasha itaweza kurudi tena Mombasa, utaweza kuiregesha kwa pwani, ama itakuwaje?
Good question. Sisi kama serikali ya Jubilee ndio tumejenga SGR. Kujenga kwetu kwa SGR haikukuwa ndio ifilisishe Mombasa. That was never the intention. It was never the intention that SGR would bring down the economy of Mombasa. In fact, SGR was supposed to double the economy of Mombasa. How was it supposed to do it? SGR was supposed to move goods and services from the rest of Kenya, from our neighboring countries, to the port of Mombasa for export. Right? The port of Mombasa the SGR was also supposed to promote the Kundu Special Economic Zone, which was supposed to be a manufacturing enterprise, a manufacturing facility where goods could be brought into this Mombasa, value addition done, and finished products exported out of the country. And most of the raw materials were supposed to come from the hinterland of Kenya. Unfortunately, some cartels took advantage of the SGR and decided to make business out of that situation in a manner that it has disadvantaged the business people of Mombasa. I want to promise the people of Mombasa that we will reverse the losses that have been made by making sure that we stick to the original intention of the SGR as a mechanism that will promote and double the business opportunities in Mombasa. Much as most of the items at the moment, most of the goods at the moment are going through the SGR. But there must be an alternative, and there must be a different approach to make sure that we do not destroy the businesses that existed in Mombasa, whether they are in the CFS category, whether they are the transporters, whether they are the other business people. It is a matter that we must address as government, because the original intention of this port, of the expansion of the port, the original intention of the SGR was to improve the efficiency of the port of Mombasa. And by improving efficiency at the port of Mombasa, we expected that it would double or triple the business in the port and create more opportunities for people to work. It was never the intention to cripple the economy of Mombasa.
All right. Okay. Now, speaking of SGR, there has been a few. Okay, one businessman who is also vying for the presidency in 2022 said that apparently the cost of SGR was exaggerated by a lot, because he said apparently it was supposed to cost about 50 billion, and the cost that was given was way higher than that. What do you say about those accusations?
Well, I think that is fair. The costs of our SGR, the SGR in Ethiopia, the SGR in India, and everywhere else. And we satisfied ourselves as a government that the cost of the SGR that was that informed the construction was actually a competitive cost. There is a lot of story around the SGR, which many people try to peddle around. But let me say this for the record, as Deputy President. And I was there from the beginning until the SGR was constructed. And I was very passionate about the construction of the SGR because we were 30 years behind schedule. Many other countries already were ahead of us, in making sure that there is a much more efficient way of moving cargo around the country. If you look at today, we are doing between 8 and 9 trains a day. By next year, we should be able to do up to 12 trains a day. When we do 12 trains a day, we will collect enough money to be able to pay for the SGR without going back to the exchequer. So it is a piece of infrastructure that can pay for itself, meaning it was competitively sourced, and meaning that it justifies the investment that we have put in the SGR. The people who are, I know who you are talking about, that said that it was exaggerated. And I know the reason why he is saying it was exaggerated, because he had designs around it, but we refused to participate in those designs because we wanted the SGR to be constructed for the reason of improving efficiency of moving goods and services around Kenya, and also for making sure that we save on the road that the tarmac roads that were getting worn out over time. So it's a balance that we have to do between what you carry on the road and what you carry on SGR, and how you balance the business interests so that we do not crash people's businesses the way Mombasa has been crushed.
Okay.
Msikilizaji, kumbuka tuko na naibu wa rais hapa ndani ya studio. Kama uko na swali lako unaweza kulituma kupitia nambari yetu ujumbe mfupi ambao ni 23440, itakuwa inapendeza zaidi pale. Na mimi mheshimiwa, ningependa kuuliza kuhusiana na swala la dawa za kulevya. Hapa Pwani kumekuwa na tatizo sana. Kuna watu ambao wanatumia dawa za kulevya. Kumekuwa na tetesi kwamba kuna watu wengi ambao wanatumia sana hizi dawa za kulevya, na pia kuna watu ambao wanahusika katika hiyo biashara. Kumekuwa pia na mauaji ya kuholela, na pia watu wamekuwa kitekwa nyara sana. Utapata ndani ya mwezi mmoja kuna watu zaidi ya 4 wanatekwa nyara, julikana wanaenda wapi. Labda utakapokuwa rais, swali kama hili ndio tutakuwa tunalishughulikia namna gani?
Kwanza, ni kinyume ya katiba na sheria ya Kenya kumuua Mkenya kiholela. Hiyo mambo ya kusema ati watu wanatekwa nyara alafu wanapotea. Mkenya anapotea kwa sababu gani? Ni kazi ya serikali, si ni kulinda haki na mali ya wananchi na maisha yao. So haya mambo ya kusemekana ya kwamba watu wanapotea through hiyo inaitwa extrajudicial killing ni mambo ambayo yanafaa kukoma katika taifa yenye iko na demokrasia kama Kenya. Hii si nchi ya udikteta, na hii si nchi ya giza. Hii ni nchi ya uwazi. You know? Na kama kuna mtu mhalifu wa aina yoyote, hata awe gaidi, hata awe muuaji kiasi gani, ni lazima kulingana na sheria na katiba ya Kenya afikishwe mahakamani na mashtaka yafunguliwe na ushahidi utolewe mpaka huyo mtu apatikane na hatia, achukuliwe hatua za kisheria. Haya mambo ambayo tunasikia kwamba fulani amepotea, fulani amepotea, is against our constitution, is against every provision of the constitution for any Kenyan to disappear or to be executed without being subjected to the dictates of the constitution and without being subjected to the criminal justice system. Madawa ya kulevya ni changamoto kubwa. Siamini ni Mombasa peke yake, ni Kenya mzima. Kwa mfano, mwaka huu nilikuwa na mkutano na mashirika ambayo yanahusika na kuwasaidia watu katika rehabilitation. Nilikuwa na mkutano mkubwa sana, walinitembelea kule Karen. Na ikawa ni kwamba watu ambao wako katika hali hiyo ni watu wengi. Yeah? Na ndio nilikuwa nasema hata leo hapa Mombasa, vijana wetu wengi wanaingia katika uhalifu, wanaingia katika madawa ya kulevya, kwa sababu tuko na watoto vijana wengi wamemaliza shule, wako na certificate, wako na diploma, wako na degree, lakini hawana ajira. Katika ile kuangaika na kukosa namna, wanapatikana wameingia katika madawa, wengi wao wameingia katika uhalifu. Na ndio nimesema kama sehemu moja ya bottom up, hiyo nimesema ni kwamba lazima tuishughulikie mambo ya ukosefu wa ajira katika Kenya as a matter of priority. Alright? As a matter of priority. Na ni vizuri wa Kenya wajue, kwa sababu pengine wengine wanaweza kuniuliza, wewe bwana Deputy President, si mungekuwa mmepanga hii mambo hapo mbeleni? Wacha niwaeleze wa Kenya. Wakati tumechukua usukani 2013, tulikubaliana na rafiki yangu rais, tukasema let us build a foundation. Tukajenga foundation, tukajenga mabarabara hizi, tukaweka reli, tukajenga TTI, tukaweka stima. Tukasema awamu yetu ya pili ni awamu ya kupanua nafasi za kazi, to make sure that we deliberately create jobs, because joblessness in Kenya is a crisis. It is not even a problem. It is a serious crisis. So, and that is why we had the big four. Through housing, create jobs. Through manufacturing, create jobs. Through investments in agriculture, food security, not only create opportunity to lower the cost of living, but to also create jobs using value addition agro-processing of those products that we produce in our farms, and then universal health coverage. Unfortunately, we were unable to implement the big four because some people came and torpedoed and sabotaged and changed our priorities. We now ended up with a circus called BBI, yeah, whose intention was never to create jobs for young people, was never to sort out the universal health coverage, was never to sort out matters of cost of living. The entire purpose of BBI was to give more powers to the office of the president. I don't know for what purpose. Was to create more positions for us leaders. You know, was to create an infrastructure of sharing power. And that is why some of us were very uncomfortable with the change of priorities from the big four to the BBI. Thank God the BBI collapsed, you know, and the reggae stopped.
Speaking of that,
So, no, I'm just telling you so that you understand that priority number one, going back to the question you asked me, watoto wetu wengi wanaingia kwenye madawa. Watoto wetu wengi wanaingia kwenye uhalifu. Inachangiwa sehemu kubwa na ukosefu wa ajira, na ni lazima tuweke mikakati na mipango vile tulikuwa tumefanya ndani ya Big Four, kuhakikisha ya kwamba kuna mipango ya serikali makusudi, deliberate, to create opportunities for the millions of young people to have a job. Unajua Kenya imekosekana kazi until it looks normal for young people to complete school and then they have nowhere to go. You know, we are busy discussing, sijui wanajeshi 3 wanaandikwa, sijui polisi 10 wanaandikwa, sijui walimu 20 wanaandikwa. What happens to the thousands upon thousands of young people who get out of school every year? We must, as a government, be able to think about that. We had a plan under the Big Four plan, but the plan was sabotaged. It never took off. We went on a tangent to BBI. The BBI took us 4 years, reggae all over the place, useless meetings. We ended up at a place called Null and Void. Umesikia hapo mahali tuliishia? Hiyo BBI reggae yote iliishia mahali inaitwa Null and Void. Sasa tukaenda zero. So I want to say, on the matter you have raised of drugs in Kenya, drug addiction, on the matter of crime, whether it is terrorism or whatever form of crime, we have a duty as a nation to engage our young people. We have a duty as a nation to provide opportunity for our young people to dispense their energy, their talent, and their knowledge doing the right things. And we have a duty of ensuring that those who do not have jobs have a business. And we need to create the environment for young people to engage in business. Whether we are making sure that there are institutional infrastructure, a place where you can do business. Make sure that there is a legal regime that protects everybody's business, and also ensure that young people have access to credit for them to carry out their businesses. Young people today cannot do business because they do not have a title deed, they do not have a logbook, they have no track record to go to the bank and ask for money. Many startups cannot access credit, so they end up accessing credit from Shylocks, who charge them 10% per day, or from Fuliza, who charge them 6% per day. Many of these entities are predatory lenders. These are lenders that are predators. So what happens is that most of the enterprises run by young people, they end up collapsing because it is not sustainable. The kind of credit they get, the kind of interest they pay cannot sustain any business. So many businesses end up collapsing. Many young people today are on CRB. You will be surprised, Yuge, to know that about 14 million Kenyans, 80% of them, young people, are on CRB because they try to do a business. They borrowed money from a predatory lender. The predatory lender charged so much interest. The business collapsed because they could not service the interest, and the whole thing came down, and the young person ended up in CRB, and they have no chance of getting out. That's why I am saying we must sort out the whole micro, small, medium enterprise system, provide an institutional framework where they can do business, provide a legal regime that can protect their business, and provide a financial ecosystem that will support lending and borrowing at sustainable rates, so that we can keep all these enterprises working and not collapsing because of predatory lenders.
All right. So if you get the presidency, come 2022, what are you going to do differently in addressing the bloating public debt in the country, which has grown from 1.8 trillion in 2013 to 7.2 trillion in 2021?
Yeah, that's a major issue, and it's good you've asked that question. The most important thing for all of us to know is that government does not manufacture money. We all collect, the money we use is the taxes we all pay. Yeah, and you can only spend either what you have collected or what you have borrowed. The challenge we have in Kenya today, Sarah, the challenge we have in Kenya today is that we have too few people who have the capacity to pay tax. Yeah, we have a whole 4 million young people who today would be taxpayers if they had a job. But today, they cannot pay a single cent because they have no jobs. It's not their fault. It's not because they don't want to pay tax. It's because they simply don't have any income. It is our duty, and that is why I am saying again, priority number one is to get young people working. It is good for them. It will remove them from the influence of getting into drugs or crime. They will use their energy positively. They will pay tax. Every responsible, patriotic citizen is proud to pay tax because you want to take charge of your nation and your destiny. Point number two is that almost 80% of all our businesses are in the, and even job creation are in the area of micro, small and medium enterprises. Unless you support that sector, you cannot grow your taxes. So that's why we are saying, again, let us provide a financial infrastructure that will promote 80% of our enterprises that are in the corner of the mama mbogas and all the people around micro and small and medium enterprises. That way, again, you will grow your tax base. If somebody was paying 5,000 or 3,000 a year because their turnover was 100,000, if you move it, their turnover to 300,000, they will pay 3 times the tax. So how do we deal with debt? There is only one way of dealing with debt. The way to deal with the debt is through bottom-up. The bottom-up economy will support, the bottom-up economic plan will support creation of jobs for young people. When you create jobs, you create more taxpayers. The bottom-up economy will support medium, micro, small enterprises. If you support that sector, if you invest in that sector, you will grow those enterprises, you will grow your tax base. The medium and small, the bottom-up economy will also support farmers, increase their productivity, increase their produce, remove cartels, remove brokers. That way, you get more. You get more productivity from the farmers. You increase their earnings. They pay more tax. With increased productivity, you lower the cost of food. Many more people can buy food at lower prices, which means they can save some money, they can spend in other areas, and when they spend in other areas, we get more tax. There is only one solution to the debt problem in Kenya. One solution. Make sure that you triple the number of taxpayers. And there is only one way of tripling the number of taxpayers: growing everybody from the bottom. The answer to our tax burden is at the bottom. At the bottom, you can create more taxpayers by giving people jobs. At the bottom, you can create more taxpayers, you can create more and additional tax by supporting enterprises that would otherwise be dying. And at the bottom, when you support small farmers, you will be able to reduce the cost of living and put more money in people's pockets. Today, you may want to know that on average, the last report that was done by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, 52% on average of every Kenyan spends, every Kenyan spends on average 52% of their earnings on buying just food, right? So if you reduce the cost of food by supporting the farmers to increase their productivity, you will lower the cost of food. You will put, instead of spending 52% of your earnings, possibly you can spend 30 or 35. You will have more money in your hands. You can go and buy things in the market. We will collect more tax. And the only solution is that when we collect more tax, we can fund our government. They don't have to go and borrow. And we will have extra money to retire our debt. That is the plan on how to bring down debt and to exit eventually from debt that is almost bankrupting our country.
Okay. Remember, you're listening to Mo Radio 8.2 FM. We are in charge of your airwaves. We have the Deputy President with us in studio this evening, and we are asking him all the questions that you have been asking. I want us to sample some questions from some of the messages that we are receiving here.
Okay.
And I'm seeing there's somebody who's asking, by the way, Mashujadi is coming up, and he says he's asking if you're going to celebrate with them in Kirinyaga. It's called Dennis from Likoni. Other people are just saying they support you, they hear you. And now we're going to dive into another question before we wrap up, because I'm seeing time is not on our side. I wanted us to talk matters on health. We all know that COVID has been very heavy on us.
Correct.
From 2020, 2021, we're still experiencing the repercussions of, what happened in the health sector. Now, a lot of health workers were not in a position to help people during the time of COVID because most of them said we don't have the facilities,
Correct.
we don't have enough personnel.
They were not vaccinated also.
Yes, and vaccination and personnel as well. We had to even import Cuban doctors and all the above. Now, if you get into government come 2022, what is your plan on health in Kenya?
Yeah, ikizingatiwa pia kumekuwa na masuala ya COVID billionaires na masuala kama hayo.
Let me answer it in this manner. Number one, I will be in Kirinyaga, of course, on Wednesday because it's a national event. I am the Deputy President of Kenya.
Okay.
And I will be there to celebrate with the people of Kirinyaga.
All right.
On the matter of COVID, of course, it's a tragedy that befell the whole world and has brought down a lot of businesses. Today, for example, I was in Jomvu, yeah, and you can see the ravage of COVID. I also came to Changamwe, and I met a lot of business people, mostly women, Likoni, just this evening. And it's the same story, that you have a lot of people whose businesses have gone down because of COVID. They need a little support just to make sure that they can keep their stocks afloat and be able to make ends meet. And I think the way to the future is to make sure that we carry out an aggressive campaign on vaccination so that we can open up the country.
Okay.
It cannot continue to be closed because people need to get out, people need to do business, people need to move things around, people need to do work, because that's the only way people can have money in their pockets. Keeping people at home, keeping people away from work, closing down the country cannot be the solution. The people at the Ministry of Health must provide to us a timetable of when we are going to have every Kenyan, or the majority at the very least, vaccinated. Parliament already voted for close to 30 billion shillings for the purchase of vaccines. And we expect that the ministry should spearhead and make sure that we buy all the vaccines that are necessary and that Kenyans are vaccinated so that we can get back to work and we can get working. And everybody can do their business and everybody can do their thing. On the matter of the COVID billionaires, I think your guess is as good as mine. It's now a year plus. I guess the investigations are still going on, and hopefully we will be able to put behind bars the characters who stole from sick people.
Yeah.
Na mheshimiwa, hapa pwani kumekuwa pia na tatizo sana la baa la njaa. Watu wamekuwa kosa chakula, takriban watu 400,000 wanaumia na baa la njaa. Labda utakapokuwa rais mheshimiwa, suluhisho lako lile la kudumu kabisa kwa kwamba tunapigana hivi vita vya baa la njaa, mifugo wanakufa, watu wanaumia na njaa, ukienda Bamba kule watu hawana maji hata sasa. Labda ukiwa rais utasaidia haji kwamba kutakuwa na permanent solution na kwamba watu watakuwa haumii.
Nakubaliana na wewe Yuge. Jana juzi nilikuwa Ganze na yale niliyaona pale sio mazuri. It's really unfortunate that at this day and age in Kenya tuko na matatizo ya chakula kiasi ile niliona pale Ganze. Nilikuwa nimetembea kule kwa shughuli ya wananchi na nikasema wacha tuko na mpango wa serikali wa kutoa chakula, tuko na mpango wa serikali ya county ya kutoa chakula, lakini pia nikasema ninaenda kule na sitatembea mguu tupu ama mkono tupu. Nikaenda pale nikabeba chakula, nilinunua kama ya shilingi 1.5 milioni. Kufika pale yale niliyaona bana sio mazuri. Ikanibidi ni double ile chakula hapo kwa sababu niliona pale kwanza kuna mtu mmoja alizimia katika hiyo mkutano kwa sababu ya njaa. Na hapo ndipo tulikuwa tunasukuma kusema ya kwamba lazima tujenge mabwawa ya maji. Ukisoma manifesto ya Jubilee tulikuwa tumeweka bwawa 57 makubwa ya kutega maji ili tuweze kuyatumia maji yale katika mambo ya kilimo na mambo na maji ya watu wananchi kunywa. Unfortunately, mpango huo wetu wa mabwawa katika taifa letu la Kenya ilipata matatizo ya siasa mbovu. Hiyo mpango yote imekwama. Ndio sababu hiyo Mwache kwa mfano ambayo ingekuwa imeanza miaka 4 iliyopita itaanza mwezi ujao. Ya? Mzima ambayo ingeanza miaka 4 iliyopita haijaanza. Na miradi mingine mingi Kenya mzima ambayo tulikuwa tumepangia. Nakwambia ya kwamba hakuna suluhu ya mambo ya njaa Ganze na sehemu zile zingine zote za Kenya bila ya sisi kuwa na mpango maalum ya kutega maji, kujenga mabwawa makubwa. That is what every nation does. Maji mengi yanaingia katika Indian Ocean. Haya maji mengi, Indian Ocean haihitaji maji hiyo. Sisi ndio tunahitaji maji hiyo tuweze kuifanyia kilimo, tuweze kutumia katika ufugaji, tuhakikisha kwamba watu wetu wako na chakula ya kutosha. Mimi ninaamini ya kwamba vile tulikuwa tumeshapanga tayari, it's just to roll out the construction of dams around the country. Pale in fact wakati ni mahali nilienda pale Ganze, nafikiri panaitwa Vitengeni.
Naam.
Kuna mto ambaye ni karibu pale. In fact MCA wa pale nafikiri anaitwa Taura, nilimkuta pale. Alinieleza ya kwamba kuna mto karibu, kuna bwawa imeshapimwa lakini haijajengwa. Na hiyo bwawa ikijengwa itatega maji, watu wa pale hawatakuwa wanazimia. Vile niliona jamaa moja akizimia katika mkutano, wangekuwa wanapata maji ya kulisha mifugo yao, ya kutengeneza kilimo yao, waweze kuwa na chakula ya kutosha na waweze kuendesha maisha yao. There is no other solution in my mind but to provide the water infrastructure that will provide for water for irrigation, water for livestock, na sehemu hiyo yote inaweza kuweka feedlots tukiwa na maji, na tunaweza kuzuia ng'ombe, mbuzi, mifugo kufa, na pia wananchi kuingia kwenye matatizo ya kukosa chakula.
All right. Remember, guys, you're listening to Muridio 88.2 FM, and go on to our social media pages at Muridio KE and follow. We are live on all social media pages. Now, on a lighter note, as we wind up, on a lighter note, you had a very long journey in politics and in governance of this country. If you were asked one important value or lesson that you'd want your kids to pick from your whole journey in politics and in governance, what would that lesson be?
If you are a leader, you must love people. Yeah?
Okay.
There are very many leaders who I have seen, and in fact I try to mentor many leaders, and I tell many of the leaders that I mentor to appreciate people, to love people, to like being with people. Many people hate the public. Many leaders, you know, they somebody asks to be a leader and then they are unavailable.
Yeah.
You know, they are unavailable to the public. When you hear that William Ruto is Tanga, for example, it is because I like to engage with people. I go everywhere. I go to many corners of Kenya. I am the most traveled leader in Kenya. I have been to more villages than any leader in Kenya. Because if you are passionate about leadership, you must be passionate about people. You know, you must learn their issues. You must get out of your comfort zone. It is not that I don't have a good house, you know, or I don't have a good bed. I have a good house, but you see, I have a job. That's why I come to Mombasa, spend 4 or 5 days in Mombasa, because I am passionate about people. That's why I go to Vitengeni. That's why I was in Gongoni. That's why I was in Ikunda. That's why I was in Kombani. That's why today I was all over the place. That's why tomorrow I'll be in Rabai, and I will be in Kaloleni, and I will be in Malindi, and I will go to Mpeketoni, and I will go to Gizingitini, because you have to do, if you've decided to do something, for heaven's sake, do it, or get the hell out of the place and go and do something else. Right? So I'm just saying that the one thing I will advise my children, or indeed any of the people associated with me as I mentor leaders, is if you decide to do something, do it, and do it well, and do it with passion, and do it with commitment. Or otherwise, forget about it and go and do something else. Don't cause a jam in a place. You pretend you are doing something and you have no passion for it, and you have no heart for it, and you don't even love it. So that would be the one thing I would even tell you, Sarah, that if as a presenter here, do it well. You know, do it with passion, do it with your heart. Usikuje hapa, you don't know whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. You do it halfway, unafanya tu ni kama unasukumwa, you know, you get. Sindio? Either ufanye ama utoke hapa uende uuze mandazi or something else. Ama ni aje boss.
Na mimi niko na swali labda kwa la mwisho Sasa hivi mheshimiwa nimeona kwamba kuna
lakini sasa wewe Yuge. Niko na mkutano.
Tunamaliza.
Kuna watu wananingojea ni kule chakula na wao.
Hili sasa ni la mwisho.
Chakula sasa inapoa.
Hili ni la mwisho kabisa mheshimiwa.
Yes, Yuge.
Tumeona kwamba kuna viongozi wanaungana. Ikiwataja tu pia kwa majina. Kuna Kinaro Diembe Odinga, kuna wale ambao waliunda chama cha Oka wameungana kupiga vita. Kuna nini mheshimiwa ambacho labda tujue siri kwa wapi?
What don't we know as Kenyans? What are we missing? What are we missing?
Unajua wale wote wakijipima kwa sijui ni Ratili ama wapi, wakijipima wanaona mimi peke yangu nikishindana na William Ruto huyu watanishinda. Sasa kila mmoja wao anaona tu njia peke yake ya kuweza kuwa na mashindano na mimi ni lazima waungane. Umewasikia wakisema tusipoungana sisi huyu mtu atatushinda. You know? So wanaungana sio ya kwamba wako na mpango ya Kenya, sio ya kwamba wako na sera, sio ya kwamba wako na mpango yoyote ya kubadilisha Kenya. Wanaungana nia yao tu ni moja, kutafuta vile ya kushinda William Ruto. Nimeshawaambia jameni, mashindano ni ya sera. Kwanza mungepanga sera yenu ni gani? Mimi nimesema ya Hustler Nation ni bottom up. Tuanze na wale wasio na kazi, tuende kwa wale wa biashara ndogo, tuende namna hiyo bottom up. Nyinyi sera yenu ni gani? Haiwezi kuwa sera yenu ni kumshinda William Ruto. That cannot be an agenda. It cannot be a program. Uwezi kusema tu sisi haja yetu ni tunaungana ili tumshinde William Ruto. How can that be an agenda? Surely. You know, meaning you have no plan. Na unajua walikuwa wanaona hii mambo ya kusema ati mambo tutabadilisha mjadala Kenya, walikuwa wanaona ni rahisi. Tuliwaambia hii mjadala itabadilika. Haitakuwa ya viongozi, itakuwa ya wananchi. Haitakuwa ya katiba, itakuwa ya uchumi. Waliona ni mchezo. Lakini saa hizi wamegundua mambo kimeumana. Ndio unaona kila mmoja wao anajaribu sasa mambo ya uchumi. Sijui mwingine amesema uchumi maradufu, mwingine amesema uchumi sijui rural economy, sijui mwingine analalamika hapo kwa kona ati mambo yake ilikuwa ya uchumi lakini imepokonywa na mwingine. So they are all scampering, you know. So juzi nimeona hata mshindani wangu mwingine sitaki kumtaja jina amesema yeye anataka uchumi ya handouts. Amesema yake ni trickle down, yani handouts kila mtu alipwe 200. Sasa sawa, mimi nimesema hakuna shida. Bora tunaongea mambo ya wananchi, hawa mahasla ni sawa. Na bora tunaongea mambo ya uchumi, pia hiyo ni sawa. Lakini Wakenya sasa watajiamulia ni kazi wanataka ama ni handout. Ni biashara wanataka wafanye ama ni handout. Wakenya wenyewe watajiamulia. Sawa Yuge? Na waomba kwa unyenyekevu.
Thank you so much.
Niko na deni yenu.
Yes, you're coming back.
Yes, I'm coming back, I promise.
All right, thank you so much
for I know you needed more of my time.
Yeah.
Again, let me take this opportunity to say thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak to your listeners. I know we would have wanted us to talk more, but I have told you I have a slightly tight program. I apologize, but I will come back, Yuge.
All right.
And I will come back, Sarah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I wish you guys well.
Right.
Endeleeni kusukuma kurudumu na hapa. Mimi nitasukuma na kule.
Asante.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.